I do want to talk a little bit about training, and particularly kind of training after a layoff or after time off or after you break away from your normally scheduled routine. And I think that people often overthink this and make too many adjustments and back the weight down too much when it's not needed. And so I'll give you my example. For me, we left for the Arnold on a Wednesday. I trained that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I generally do like a 1 lift per day kind of deal. And I kind of set it up where, hey, if I deadlift while I'm in Columbus, Ohio, I'll have gotten 4 sessions into my 7-day period, whatever. So long story short, I trained Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday. I pulled a little something on Friday, maybe like 405, just to get moving and test the platform. And then I didn't train till the following Tuesday. We came back Monday. So essentially you kind of have a week without a, hour to an hour and a half long session where you're running a training program, looking at your last weights, probably going up and load, or, adjusting reps so you can go up and weight, or whatever the case may be. And I get this question a lot from our members on our Slack channel. You can join our Slack channel for $29 a month. You can come on. It's over 200 lifters, get programming advice, post your weights in there for form checks and all that kind of stuff. And people often get really confused when they miss a week. Maybe they go on a cruise. Maybe they, work gets crazy. Maybe they get sick and get the flu. And they want to know, hey, how do I come back from this? And the answer is just don't overthink it. So if you're squatting, I don't know, let's say you're running a linear progression. We'll give you 2 examples, a novice and an intermediate. If you're running a linear progression and your back squats at 225 and you go on a cruise for a week, well, when you come back, you're not going to do 230 most likely because you missed a week. But you also don't have to go back to 175 or something way, way lower. And that's what I see people doing a lot, is they think they need some drastic deload because they've missed, a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. So what I generally tell people to do is, hey, on that first day back, come back and just work up to as close as you were that you feel like you can do for 1 set of 5. I'm particularly talking about the squat because most of these folks are coming back and I encourage them to squat first. So if you did 225, you're supposed to do 230, you're gone for a week, come back and walk into the gym and say, hey, I'm just going to do 1 set of 5. And my goal is going to be 225, the same thing I did last time. And if you go to do 200 for a double for a last warm up, or 195, and you're like, wow, this is pretty hard. This is, maybe you were partying on your week off, or maybe you weren't eating and you're like, wow, this is hard. Then just stay there and do 1 set of 5, and then move on to your next lift. And then the following time you train, do that same weight for 3 sets of 5, and then just go back into whatever you were doing for adding weights to the bar, or adding, weight to the bar and continuing your 3 sets of 5 or whatever it is. If you're coming back from a flu or a sickness, it's a little bit different because, some stress has happened to your body. Maybe not stress from the bar and a, exact lifting program, but you have had something happen to your body. So in that case, I like the same approach if you've missed time in the gym of, hey, I'm going to go back roughly to where I am, but for less volume, but know that the number may be a little lower. So if you were supposed to do 230, you're like, hey, I'm going to just shoot for 200. I'm just shave a little bit off, but don't shave a ton of weight off. And also don't be discouraged the first week back, and don't be discouraged the day after your first session back. And the reason that volume is lower on the squat is because if you come in and you run a whole bunch of sets and reps, you are going to become really sore. Remember, soreness is caused by eccentric range of motion, muscle bellies lengthening for a range of motion that you are not accustomed to. So when you squat, for me to this day, has been squatting for a long time, if I take 2 weeks off the gym and I come back and I'm still capable of squatting 405 or whatever the number is, the strength doesn't matter, but I go through this eccentric range of motion loading again, I'm going to be super sore. So that's the reason we reduce the volume of that first set. Your press and your bench, generally just 5 pounds, kind of regardless of your strength. Just take 5 pounds off and you'll probably be able to do 3 sets of 5. You don't just lose a ton of strength just because you've been out for a week. If you've been out for a month, it gets a little bit more complicated. But that's what I was thinking about, because when I was coming back from the Arnold, I wouldn't say I missed training, but the training was different and the volume was different. And it was, stressful. You're running around, you're screaming, you're up late at night, you're back up early in the morning. And so I came back and just said, hey, Mondays I usually do 5x5. I'm going to do 3x5. So I cut the volume a little bit. I did the top set where I was supposed to do the top set, meaning what I had done the week before, which I think was like 415. And then I said, okay, for my second 2 sets of 5, I'm going to take the weight down a little bit. So, and then your deadlift seems to hang on pretty well for a layoff. Sometimes you come back after a layoff and your deadlift almost goes up. But yeah, just don't overthink it. Get back in the gym. You can miss. Don't miss twice. Don't miss 3 times. If you find yourself in that position, don't then, as you're coming back, get wrapped around the number on the bar and then have a bad session. Anyway, that's my layoff rant.